there and welcome back, where today we're going to be talking about the new, or at least latest song, Sayonara Saraba by BiSH, which happens to be, I believe, number 8 of 12 consecutive songs they're releasing leading up to a disbandment. At least that's what it says on their WAC wiki. I'm really happy about the fact that BiSH have been doing this. They have had some of their most interesting songs in this run so far leading up to a disbandment. They certainly are one of those groups who wants to leave us on a high note, and I am really appreciative of that, especially as someone who's always said my favourite thing about BiSH is the fact that you don't know what you're going to get when you press play. Yes, they sometimes have songs that go into that. I think many people say it's the Kentacore sound, the sound that is just a bit too familiar from Kenta's writing at WAC, but they also have some songs that really go out there. Some of the Kenta songs are really great, some of the songs are really unexpected. Things like Pure, and then we have ballads come from nowhere. It's been brilliant, especially in this last run of songs. But where does Sayonara Saraba sit in this? Well, we got a lot to unpack, so let's get started. Now, I must really start and preface this whole thing by saying I actually do really enjoy this song, but I am going to have to begin by cutting down a few things that maybe were not so great, and I think that's only because it's by comparison to just how good their recent songs have been. Now, first of all, this is a good rocking song. It really does charge along. It's got a great energy, and it's a lot of it is powered by the BiSH performances that we'll get on into a minute. But at the core of it, it is basically a fairly standard, very produced, very neat rock song. And a lot of that, I think, has to do with the fact that it's written by the music's written by two writers. You've got Meg, aka Meg Metal, who I don't know a lot about, and the lead writer seems to be Taka from 1OK Rock. Now, Taka, I have a great amount of respect for his voice. I know different people have different opinions. I think he does put a lot of effort into having a really unique, distinct singing voice. However, I can't help but feel, and I've also defended him against the fact that a lot of people have claimed that 1OK Rock, his band, they've been accused of selling out and sounding too commercial of recent years. I've defended that. I did a whole video defending why I don't think it's fair for anyone to say that about a group. It might or might not be true depending on where you look at it, but I don't think that anyone from the outside can make such presumptions. Some people just know how to do a commercial sound that they actually like. I mean, commercial music is popular for a reason, so people are going to like it. So as a result, I'm not jumping on I don't want to be sort of overly harsh of him. However, he has been doing a lot of songs that have the problems that are somewhat written over this one, in that it's kind of very rudimentary, four chord patterns, everything's moving in a fairly steady way. There aren't many interesting song sounds coming in. It's all sort of your standard guitars, very compressed guitars, so they don't have a huge amount of attitude to them. It all sounds a little bit too clean, a little bit too safe. Now, I have said of recent, in fact, the couple of songs they had before this, they had some very chilled out BiSH songs, which were very simple, and I said that I really liked them. One of the reasons I said that is because in their stripped back simplicity, they gave room for BiSH to come forward and really just for it to be more about their voices. And that was something that to me was wonderful, because for a band who usually are so bombastic, has got such a big sound, it was nice to hear them really allowed to just sort of perform in that gentle way, something that calls back to songs like Life is Beautiful. And I really enjoyed that. The problem is that here we've got something of a middle ground. It doesn't have the insane bombastic energy of things like Non-Tie-Up, where there's just sounds coming from everywhere, where it goes crazy. It doesn't have the gentle space for the voices to come through like songs like Life is Beautiful. And it doesn't have the grit of their more punky songs, of which they have a few in all fairness. But it doesn't have that grit that you can just say, well, look, this is a guitar song. It feels like it has sheen, simplicity, but nothing really setting it apart. So it is a good song. It is a catchy song with a nice melody, with a lot of things going for it. But ultimately, I feel the problem is that this, to me, feels a bit like a filler track. It feels like it belongs on a BiSH album because it's a really good song, because it has got a good energy, because of the fact that it is quite catchy, and because BiSH are giving it their all. But it doesn't have anything that makes it stand out, which is what's the core quality of so many BiSH singles. Now, when you're releasing 12 songs, one a month for a year, and they're all getting videos, I think we can all be a little bit lighter and not expect them all to be life-changing singles. And I think we've been lucky to come this far with so many great songs in this batch. And as a result, I think, if anything, this song is unfairly put on a bit of a pedestal by having a music video, by having famous names tied to it, and being sort of pushed in that way, that it is going to come across as, it's always going to have a harder reputation to live up to. So I want to state that is clearly first and foremost here. But I have to be honest, of the batch of songs we've heard so far, this one feels probably, I'd have to go back and re-listen, but I'd probably say this is the one that seems the least noteworthy. And the fact that it's still a great song, but doesn't really have any particularly standout qualities of its own, take that as you will. But I do want to move across to the things that makes this song actually really good. Now, in amongst the fact that, as I say, the production is a little bit sheeny and it is a little bit overly produced, the one thing that is good about that is that we do actually still get to hear the performances. We do get to hear all the girls' voices, and there is a lot of energy in their performance. Yes, we had the more delicate songs before we got to hear their voices, but this is us getting to hear them with a bit more charge in their voices, even if the song doesn't necessarily seem to carry quite as much of the same energy. So it's nice to get to hear the vocal performances. The vocal performances are still really great, especially, I was getting that much into it. Especially, I was really impressed by, I often don't talk enough about Lin Lim, but to me, she was the really standout performance in this, because I loved how everyone was kind of singing with that sort of depth and passion, and then they went into the bridge, and kind of like you'd expect from this kind of rock song, when you get into the bridge, that's where the slightly more growly, heavy vocals come in, and Lin Lim just absolutely teared it up. I loved the sheer intensity she had in her voice. Now, she did a similar thing in a few songs, but in Pure, earlier in this batch, the first song in this batch, she did that same sort of gnarly voice, but there it was kind of everyone was doing it. Here everyone was kind of singing more in sort of a passionate sort of rock way, and just hearing her do that, I loved the way that went completely off script. So BiSH, as always, giving great performances, but a special credit to Lin Lim for just giving it that extra injection at the bridge, at the point where it was really kind of needing something to give it a little bit of a extra injection of energy. Lin Lim came through and did that fantastically, so I really loved that side of it as well. Must also be said, as much as I've been kind of saying, damning with faint praise perhaps, and saying, well, the problem is this song is not bad, but it's also a bit mediocre, it does have a good chorus. It's not a killer chorus, but it is good. It's not one of those choruses that is going to, like Superhero, it's not going to sort of really just charge you up hugely, but it is going to be one where when it's on, you're going to enjoy it. This is why I say it would make a great album track. It feels like when it's on, you really enjoy it, but you're not hugely going to remember it, and that is fine. That's absolutely fine. So yes, it must be still credited with the fact that it does have that, and the video as well gives it a lot of energy. I was really impressed by this video. So the video itself was pretty simple. I mean, they weren't obviously working on a huge budget, which is not surprising considering how many music videos they're doing at the moment, but credit where it is due. This was really visually arresting. There was good cutting. It was done in a sort of very narrow, almost 4:3, I think it was, aspect ratio. So your eyes are really centered. It's not like widescreen panoramas. It's keeping your eyes centered, and it's really keeping things visually going. A lot of sort of rotating cameras, the things were used, angles were changed, but the center of focus, your eyes were kept mostly centered on the middle of the screen, which is why I think that narrow and more square aspect ratio was used. And I really enjoyed how they were playful with that. Again, like I say, the constantly moving camera was a great thing. The bits towards the end where they started using the mirrors as well, that was brilliant. We've seen that sort of House of Mirrors trick thing done a million times before. Now, I don't know how much this was digital effects. I'm assuming this was mostly digital effects, but it was really done from the very first moment when Momoko's sort of touching her mouth and then her hand just appears to just drip away like she's just walked half into a black hole with her feet and she's disappearing. That, and then all the moments on from there, it was done not overly top, just in the way where each thing changed. You got a nice little interesting visual effect. I felt like this was something that took simple and worked with it well. Partly through, as much as I always compliment their voices, just a brilliant dance performance as well. BiSH do some great choreography, and it's really on here, very expressive, emotional, as always. I felt the video injected a lot of emotion that the song in its own was hinting at, but not quite getting there. Again, BiSH as the members, and this is why they're such a great girl group, is that BiSH as the members were able to really carry the aspects that weren't quite in the song and give them the extra energy. But then the director came through, and whoever directed this video, I should have checked, but they really went the extra mile in taking a simple theory and just adding that extra energy. So yeah, I really felt that this was a video that did a lot to carry it. Simple, but just every frame was cared for, movement was maintained, a focal point for your eyes was kept there, your eyes weren't having to dance around the screen too much, enough things were happening to keep it interesting in a sort of peripheral way, but at the same time it was staying focused, it was staying good with its tempo, it was adding interesting visuals to keep your mind engaged. It's a great video. So in conclusion, as a complete package, this was actually really good. In that if I went back and I watched this as a music video, it would engage me with the attitude of the song being elevated by the video, like I say, sort of drawing those more passionate aspects out of the actual audio. The performances that the band gave, just brilliant, shows the masterclass they're on. The song itself is good, but luckily elevated by the things happening around it. Again, I'm not here to slag off One OK Rock. I said this when we gave them some slightly mediocre reviews before, years ago. I got in trouble for that. I got a couple of One OK Rock records. I'm not big into their most recent stuff, but I'm not one of those people saying, oh, they sold out. I'm just not big into what they've been doing recently. And I can't help but say that I think that this was not exactly, this felt like just Taka just doing Taka, and whatever Meg Metal gave, I don't know, but it just felt like Taka doing Taka. However, it was not bad. It was good, and then it was elevated by an amazing vocal performance, especially by Lin Lin, and then it was taken to a whole new level by a video that just knew how to get the energy out of this, to really focus and enhance the energy and really get through to the core of what makes the song good. So yeah, as a total product, very good. Just as a piece of audio though, I think it's not going to be super memorable, and it is going to be one that I'm going to enjoy when I hear it on the album. Every time it comes around on the album, I'm going to be sitting there grinning going, this is great, but then I'll be equally happy when we move on to the next song that I probably will maybe enjoy a bit more. But anyway, those are my thoughts. As always, get in the comments, tell me what you think, and until I hopefully see you very soon in Japan for the next one of these. For now, ciao ciao.